Hey everyone, back with episode 9, so I've got loads to show again and continuing on with the build. If you haven't seen my previous videos leading up until this point, check them out in my playlist on my channel. As always, if you've got any comments or questions about the bike, drop me a message and I'll do my best to get back to you. So I'll jump straight into it and hopefully you'll enjoy it. Cheers. Right, so I want to put the radiator back on now. I have given it a little bit of a paint just to get rid of any of the crappy bits on it, so it looks a bit nicer anyway. It's got the original cover on there, look, as you can see. Alright, so fairly simple this. That on there. That's that one on. So as you can see, like I say, it's tucked out the way now, whereas before it was sticking out this side. Probably a bit neater that way. I think on that bit there, that's where the original sensor would have gone to the bike. So I'm going to leave it for now and just check it all runs okay. I'm pretty sure I don't need it, and then rather than take it out, I think I'll just chop the end off and just put a bit of shrink tube on top of that, so it just seals it off. So anyway, that looks nicer now, nice and painted to match the rest of the bike. So I've just got one more bolt to go into there on that side, and then that's the radiator held in place. So I'm going to do that now. And then there's a tube on the other side, not a tube, a hose to connect, and then that's the radiator back on. Right then, so a bit of a recap. So as you can see, I've got all the hoses on. Well, all the main ones anyway. I've got these little ones here to put on and stuff like that. The crankcase breather ones and all that sort of stuff. I think I'm going to start now looking at getting the wiring routed in and connecting that up. Basically connect all the wiring up, I think, first. And I'll put in these little hoses as well, route them round where I need to. And yeah, I think that'd probably be the next best bet. So this is what's replacing the coolant bottle, which was at the very bottom, well, where the blue swing arm is, basically in that area. And you saw me take that out in an earlier video. So this time this is going to sit on here somewhere. I just need to figure out where. Oh, that could be a pain in the ass, could be in the way. But yeah, somewhere around there or something like that. And then the cable for this will go into the top of there and route straight into there. So that should just only have to have a little one running down into there somewhere. So I'll sort that out at some point. Like I say, I'll sort those out. And then I'll probably start looking at maybe getting the chain on and getting the wheels back in and getting the rear brakes on. Get that stuff sorted. I need to be able to tighten up the sprocket nut at the front there, which has not been on, but obviously to do that I'll need the rear wheel on. So maybe getting the wheels on will be a good next move, I think, as well, after I sort out those hoses, like I mentioned. Various red hoses to use for those, overflow and all the rest of it, different sizes, so it's got a bit dusty there actually, but they just need to be trimmed down, and I'll pick out the best ones to use and then just start putting them back on. Connecting up this is the earth cable from the battery to the starter motor. Not the battery, sorry, from the, I think it's the starter relay at the back up there, and it's going to go to the starter motor. So luckily I put some little tags on there from earlier on. I don't need them now. It's just a case of connecting it on that, dead easy. Oh shit, say dead easy, where's that gone? I spoke too soon. Luckily I've got one of these things, magnets to get it out, so hopefully that'll just come out. Come on, there we go. Right, let's try that again. Slap it on, put this rubber cap back on. Right, I forgot to do it on the camera, but it's not that exciting. I basically took the starter motor out, which is undoing those two, and pulls it out. just to reroute that cable underneath, because it was underneath originally and it's just neater being under there. It keeps it nice and located in place, stops putting stress on this as well, which is always good. And yeah, just rerouted it underneath there. So that fits in there all right. So what I'll do is I'll run that obviously to the bottom of there. I've been told the best thing to do with this is to cut this at a bit of an angle so that when it goes in there, it doesn't stick itself or suction itself to the bottom of here, and obviously allows it to breathe and pull coolant through as it needs to. I mean, the idea of this really is literally just to replace the one that would have been down the bottom of there. I mean, it's obviously you could still use it, it's just that it's not very accessible, and to get to it you've got to take all the bottom of the battery box out and everything. It's a real pain. Right, so I think that's down at the bottom. Route that through there. And then just chop it off and fit it onto there. Right, to be honest, I think that could probably do with being trimmed down a little more. Right, so the next one is this one to do. And that's going to run to the top of the water pump down the bottom. The water pump used to run to the bottom of the carbs, but because I don't need it to warm the heaters or the carbs up anymore, it's going to run directly into there. Just going to route this hose underneath there so that it's not putting too much stress on that curve, and then that should be just enough to get it to go down to the pipe at the bottom. I'm hoping anyway. Yep, just. This is going to go to the bottom of the water, well, top of the water pump there. Right. So that's that. So that should be, obviously I'll put that hose clamp on, but that should be nice there where it's sitting, so that it's got a smooth curve and not too much stress on this pipe to recirculate the water back through. Just gonna put the rain light on and put this battery box tray on as well. Ready? See the rain light's in now, so obviously that's activated by the switch on the right hand side. So normally obviously your lights are on the left hand side, but the guy who did the wiring harness for me has wired it in so that now when I'm on the bike and it starts to rain on track, I can just flick that across and hopefully that'll light up the rear rain light. Right, so I'm going to try and crack on with getting some of this wiring done today, hook it all up so it's out of the way and route the cables through. I still need to order a battery, but I'll just route it through for now and have it ready. For the wiring at the front, so the way these are for the coils, which are obviously in there. There is obviously a way these need to go on. So the yellow with a bit of the blue on obviously on this harness is the top one. They're obviously grounds or earth cables because they're both joined together, so they're just bouncing across. And then the blue with the yellow is the bottom one. So I just need to install that in the right way. That's one. And then all the black cables onto the next one. Right, there you go. Mostly yellow with the blue at the top, then the black. That cable's bounced down to the bottom where it's shared the same ground lead, and then it's the blue with the yellow for the bottom coil. So I've obviously left my cables on there, right switch gear for that side, which is obviously going to connect to that. Hook that one up, and I think that one's for the lead that runs to the rev counter and all that stuff that I've had set up as well. Yes, as I was saying, this cable is the one that's going to run through there. I've got a rev counter at the top and the Cosso temperature gauge and a few other bits, so that's going to go into there and that's going to connect to this one. So I'll clip that on now whilst I'm at it. And then that one is for this one. Just need to, on the original harness, this cable switch at the front kind of doubles back on itself and tucks into there, so I'm gonna have to just try and find a neat way of doing that. I think I don't want it all hanging around like that. Okay, for now I've literally just put a tire up through there for now, because what's going to happen is obviously this cable, as they turn the bars, is going to stretch as it goes that way, so I don't want it to become tight and obviously pull on that cable and split anything. So what I'll do is I'll leave it like that for now. When I get the wheel on, get it off the stand, obviously I give it a bit of a turn and see if anything catches. It'll be a case of doing that with every cable, because obviously I've rerouted stuff myself and that's a totally different harness to the original. Just want to check this stuff through, but for now I'm going to put this number board on there. So that's going to go into there like that, and it just screws in under there. And then there's this piece which goes into there like that, and this bit is obviously to bolt to the front of the board. And I believe that part there is so you can fit a GoPro mount to it underneath and screw it into there, or mount it upside down so that it faces that way if you want to obviously film yourself when racing. So I will probably do something with that and attach my own piece to that so that it sits underneath. So I need to undo these bottom yoke bolts, put that on, and obviously then nip them back up. When it comes to the GoPros, this is what I tend to do for a setup. So if you've seen my videos for track days and stuff like that, this is the technique I use. So I use one of these things, and it's a metal GoPro bracket, and I'll drill them through. I've drilled them out to an M5 bolt. I'll drill that through there, and then I'll bolt it through just with like a standard bolt. And then the other side, I'll put a lock nut on. So basically that is not coming off at all. So that's how it looks now, and it just fits nicely into there. There's obviously a couple of lock nuts on there. That bolt for the number board, I've had to chop it down so it just fits in, but that should be all right. It means now that it's solid on there, and obviously I can use that bolt to go right the way through, put a lock nut on the end of there. Right, I think that's on correct. Just need to nip them back up now with the correct torque setting. I realised on here that you'll notice this piece here is new, and that's to be able to fit this shift light on there, look. So that I'll just put a bit of double-sided tape and stick it to there. I just need to drill a hole so I can get this cable through the back. So with something like this, I think what I'm going to attempt to do is, just you can see the little black dot, I need to do something with these cables, because what's happening is they're putting pressure on the backs, and I don't want to bend that at 45 degrees and obviously damage the cabling. So I'm going to attempt to use one of these. They are supposed to be able to cut aluminium, and it is only thin, so I'm going to give it a go. Just cut a hole there, that size, put a rubber grommet in, and it should allow the cables to slot through, hopefully. Well, I think that went as good as I could have hoped. I mean, you're never going to get a great result just on this crappy drill. I mean, it's not particularly the best. And yeah, that's not bad. I'll just put a rubber grommet in there so that it stops it being rough edges. I'm going to file that down a little bit. That should be okay, I think. So yeah, so that's how it'll end up looking, something along the lines of that. Connecting the wiring up now, so should be fairly straightforward, I'm hoping. There we go. Sync is for that. Looks like it. There's quite a bit of cable in this area now, because everything came down here, across the top, down there, and all up the backside there. And now I've got everything in here, so I don't know where's best to put this lot yet. I think I'm gonna have to just put it in loosely, and it might be a case of put it where I think is about right, get the carbs in the airbox, because obviously that's going to sit tightly into it, take up all this empty space that I've now got, and then I might have to go around and just reroute some of this and just put some cable ties, because obviously that's way too long as it is. It might be that it just gets, literally just gets tucked in like that into this side. I'll have to just see what's best, but try and obviously do it so there's no tension on all these cables if I can help it. That one in, and that one goes up the back. So this one here, from the negative on the battery, is just going to go to there where I took it off. I actually wrote on it as well. In fact, you can still probably see the writing down there. So yeah, I'm just going to bolt it back into there. Right, so now you can see I've got that earth cable on there, and it's running underneath into the battery box, and there's the positive there connected at the back. I might try to put something on there to keep that from wagging around. I'll have to just see where the fairing sits first. So you'll probably notice there's a lot less wiring. There's nothing on that side. There's literally only that side, the front dash running down underneath, and it all basically gets tucked up under there, and then the airbox will box that off there, and that should be it. So one thing is that is really starting to grind me now a little bit is lack of space in here. It's really hard doing this with barely any space. I'm sure there's others who've got worse than this, worse setup, or less space should I say, but it is a real pain in the ass squeezing in between the bike and other things. At least I have somewhere to work instead of inside the house. Right, so these can work in road or race shift. I'm going to start with road because it's just what I'm used to. I've never used the race shift before, and the way I can't remember which way it actually is, but one way is when it's at the top like that, for example, is road shift, and then you'd switch it the other way and race shift. But I might be wrong on which angle it actually is, but that's basically how you do it. It's either one way or the other, determines obviously a road or a race, and that just means that obviously you can change the gearbox slightly different. So instead of like going down, you'd be going up to change and stuff like that. Make them up for now. Right, well I'm going to build up my wheels now, start trying to get them on the bike. So finally getting around to put on this new, so is it there, new Armstrong disc. So this is what everybody uses for the CBs. Oh, by the way, it's raining extremely heavy in my garage today, so if you can hear a lot of background noise, apologies, I'll try shout over it. So I've got some new bolts, they've already got thread lock on, so I'll just wind them in. Right, so I'm just going to go wind my way around them and just obviously hand tighten them down. I haven't got a torque wrench with an Allen key end on it, so I'll just hand tighten them. Sure it'll be alright. Right, so this one here was a little bit tight, that bolt, so I'm just going to run a hand tap through it and just clean it out nice and gently. This should clean it out nicely. That's better. Right, so now they're all in, I'm just going to nip them down evenly. That one needs a bit more. And that's another one that feels tight. I'm going to sort that one as well. Once they're all down, I'll nip them in evenly, then just go opposites, like one there, one there, one there, one there, one there, one there, in that order, and then it'll tighten down equally. So I'm going to put the wheel back in. So I've got the disc on, tighten them all up as you saw, and I've got one of these which is a captive wheel spacer. Well, I've actually got the full set here. They just go in there like that. There we go. And the idea is that just doesn't fall out, which if you saw my previous videos when I was taking the wheels off, first thing that popped out were these straight on the floor. They're bloody annoying when you try to do quick wheel changes, you know, if it's raining on the track or whatever. Okay. Alright then, so I'll just nip up the bolt on this side now. That's, I think I showed this before, that's just to make it easy to grab and take it out, and it also protects my forks if I do have a slide. I've got the same this side as well. So there you go. I actually got a fancy titanium nut, but not that it does anything other than looks nice. So anyway, I'll torque that down, and you can see that's how both sides are. So that's that spacer that is now in place of where the speedo cable and sensor would have been, and that's the captive spacer on that side and the new disc. So brand new clutch cable. Don't know if you need to grease this up or not. Well, I'll do this side first. So when I was doing the frame, there was a little bracket round about here somewhere, and as you can see, it is no more. And I don't know if that was a smooth idea or a stupid idea. So it would have basically kept the cable in place and stopped it from moving as much. So I might have to just use a tie wrap around there or something, but so I've greased up the inside of there just so the cable's got some on the actual pivots as well on inside there. My cup of tea has arrived. Say hello to the camera. Thank you. God, that's hot. I'll carry on with that in a second. I've just done that a little bit too tight, and I'll get it all rerouted back as it was. Gonna see if I can get these CARBs back on now. So I'm just putting these clamps that go on the hoses that connect to the airbox. So I'm just tightening that one. Already done that side. That one's on ready, but it's loose. Just gotta do that one, and then I'll try and attach them to the airbox and then see if I can fit them back in. Something's in the way. So I'm just trying to tuck the hoses out of the way for a start off, and then figure out what the hell's catching. I think it's this. There's like a round hook there, and I think it's that. Yep, it is that. And now I think there's some cable at this side catching. Right, so the CARB's in, but they're not connected, as you can see there. Just thought I'd show what the issue is. So there is a pipe in there where my finger is. I'll try to highlight it. That I need to connect up, but underneath where the starter motor is, I'm trying to use my phone as a torch here, you can see the black rubber surrounding the top. I'm gonna have to move that to the left a little bit, I think, because it's sat, all this airbox is sat on top of a bunch of cables that run through there and up and behind, and basically between the bit here and they drop down the back. So it's quite tight, but it's obviously doable because it had more cables when it was in its standard road state than it does now. I've rerouted the cables now, so that one was sticking out this way and now it's going horizontally and down and under. This one, I've bent this down a little bit, just the spade connector on there, so it sits down a little bit easier. So you can see it's sitting into that dip and then coming up a bit, so it sits a bit better in there, and hopefully now that'll allow the airbox to sit in. There is the clip that goes over this side, and it is quite tight with obviously having this tray box in there, but we'll see. I'll give it another try. Let's put that back on there before I forget. Oh, there we go. I think we're nearly there. Flipping heck, that I've got a right sweat on. That was not not easy to get them on. So now they're lining up to the exhaust ports there either side, and you can see in the back, well, I hope you can, inside there's like two little tabs which locate up to this, and that is as far on as they are going. The airbox locates up to there as well, so I'll tighten up those clamps. It seems to be fine under here for cables. I'm gonna have a play around with the location of them, make sure nothing's pinching and they're moving around. Oh yeah, they are, look, moving around freely, so I think we're okay there. It's just a nightmare getting these on, it really is. There's literally, it's just like the tightest flipping fit with everything going on in there, and I don't even have as many cables as I had on the original bike, so it'd be even worse on the original bike. Well, when I say original, I mean in its standard form. The main problem is there's nothing to push on to get the carbs in, because like I said before, you don't want to be pushing on all these pipes here because there's seals either side and you don't want to damage them. So yeah, it's just, if you could shove it and push it in, it really won't be as big a deal. It's just because this bloody thing's in the way. Right, guess what? I only went and forgot to put the bloody fuel hose on. Right underneath there, at the very bottom, I don't know where my finger is, right tucked up on there is the flipping fuel hose. Oh man, that's annoying. So they're gonna have to come out again. I just got them all in perfectly. So there's the bloody fuel pipe I was missing, the black one there. Really annoying because I had them in and they were all okay, and then obviously I forgot that. So I'm just having a good check around now. That is every hose that needs to be on there. The two at the top I can access afterwards anyway. But yeah, so the drain hose is the red and then the fuel pipe's the black. A lot of the guys at race don't even bother putting these back on. I don't know if there's any benefit. I think I will, just because I've had loads of rubbish in these carbs and I'm almost certain having a big hole there like that is not going to help for pulling crap inside them. So I will put that on. So on this side, there's my fuel hose. I've got an inline fuel filter to go on this now, which I'm going to put on in a minute. I'm just going to gently route these cables nicely out of the way. I'm going to chop that one down, tuck it down the back. That's the bottom of the airbox vent as well. I think that's about it. Right, that's that sub air filter thing installed. I'm just going to put a tie wrap through that and just around there, so don't flap around. As I'll put the air filter back in now. So I've got a brand new one, high flow Filtro. It's possibly the easiest job ever putting this in. Ta-da! That's literally it. Fasten that back up. So all the cables are routed nicely now. There's nothing snagging down the bottom here. I don't know if you can see with the camera, but they're all grouped together. I put a little cable tie around them just to keep them nice and neat so they don't go anywhere near the rear wheel or swing arm or anything. Yeah, like I say, that routes nicely. Same with this one. There's nothing trapping, so hopefully I'll be okay. That's the carb drain, that one. These ones and the oil pipe. Oh, they popped me in the face. That one's going to go up there at some point. I think I'll cut it around here and stick that fuel filter in, but I'll probably do that when the tank is on the bike. I'm trying to swap this master cylinder out now. Basically that's going to go on the back of there like that. I don't know if you can see that there's obviously not enough space or room for that because of this and this piece here. What I'm going to have to do, I think, and I'm pretty sure this is what everyone else had to do, on here you can see the top nut. I have to cut this down to 1 centimetre from the top. I can screw one of these in then and it'll sit like that at the top, and then that will thread through there onto there like that. Right. Just gonna put this glove over the top just to stop any from trying to go, not that it will, but inside that piece there. Alright, well that's it back on and seems to be alright. So that's just using the standard one, clevis pin I think it's called, under there, like that. And then obviously just the master cylinder. I do need some longer bolts though, so I'll sort that out next, but yeah, quite happy with that now. I'm going to route the hoses through now and start trying to hook up the rear brake, see if I can get that working. Okay, I'm going to get these wheels built up now. So these discs are directional, and that's the correct way they should be. Right, so that's the disc sat flat. Let's put the bolts in. that. Put these back in. These are the original ones, I've just cleaned them up a bit. And the sprocket carrier. Might just tap that down with a hammer or something, put a piece of wood on so it goes in and stays in. And oh, get it out for now. Just before I do, I've got the other captive wheel spacer in to put in, so I'll pop that seal out and stick that behind it, just over the thick sides on this left hand side. Then I'll put the disc on this JT one, but to be honest, I don't like it. It weighs an absolute ton. It really is like ridiculously heavy, so I'm going to try and I've been waiting on the Renthal ones, but for some reason there's a big delay on Renthal stuff. Seems everywhere is out of stock, so, and Talon ones as well, so I'm going to be stuck with this one for now. So I'll put it on, and then as soon as the other ones come in stock, I'll switch that out for a lighter one, because that really is heavy. That's the sprocket carrier in. I just had to hammer that in. Don't really have much option because I'm running out of time to get the bike built, ready to do my ACU license, and like I said, there's a shortage of sprockets, so JT one it is for now. I'll put a bit of thread lock on, I think. Okay, there we go. Let's get it put back in the bike. Okay, that's them ready to go back on. So next time I'll be continuing on with the build. I've got absolutely loads still left to do. I'll set up the brakes, make some tweaks to some of the fairing, the number boards, the belly pan and the mudguard. I also fit the chain and sprockets and set all that stuff up. So yeah, there's loads still left to do, so hopefully see you next time. Cheers.